Kings and Queens, Your Majesties, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for always returning. Trust you and yours are well and you're loving yourself and others like always. Today, we're getting straight into the discussion, which is the information that some of you or majority of you might have heard about. It's everywhere on the internet that the United States of America is granting, opportunity for white settlers in South Africa to move into America as refugees, and they are preparing everything that they needed for that already. And over 10,000 white South Africans are ready to move, and a lot more are saying, "Why should we move? We should remain here." And the surprising thing for me was when I heard that these white South Africans claim that they are being oppressed in South Africa. I'm sorry it sounds funny to me. It's funny because you are the ones on a life in black South Africans working in your farms. You are the one who own more than 50% of the lands and properties in South Africa. You are the one who acts like the boss, and the blacks in South Africa work for you. You live your life, you lord it over the originals of that land. You come out whenever you like and tell people that South Africa do not belong to black people. You go scot-free. You honor life blacks. Nothing happens to you. And you are the one claiming to be the victim at this point, that you are being oppressed by blacks in South Africa. Now, when you look deeper into the whole situation, you understand that there is something going on, and this is a plan that they've been working on for a long time, and I think they are at the verge of implementing it. I don't know what that is, but I think that this is not good, because during the apartheid, a lot of blacks were looking for where to put their heads. America didn't give them opportunity. And then at this time, when nothing really happened to these white South Africans, you calling them in, they all come in, the blacks are maltreating you, we have space for you here, come in, after you have kicked out almost everybody out of the United States. So what people are asking is, why should it be now? And again, when I looked into this, now apart from this issue here, there is another issue on ground, which some people believe that Israel backed some of these blacks to, file for some of this petition against the South African government. There is a land dispute already between Lesotho and South Africa, that Lesotho petitions a United Nations to reclaim Free State province. Okay, and other South African lands lost to colonial rule. And as at the 2nd of February, the government of South Africa hadn't replied to this, and some analysts gave their own 2 cents about this. And then here we are here with this situation. It seemed like they've been targeting South Africa for a long time now. And what they think the solution might be is to take in their people, whites like them, so that they can wipe out South Africa. Like, allegedly, this is what it's in the mind of some people out there. Some analysts are like, this is not normal. There should be something behind it, because you can't be kicking out illegal immigrants in your state, and then on the other hand, you just turned and say, okay, those in this particular region that are white should come in. Only the white should come in, when already you had something in your heart against these people. Is Donald trying to bring people that look like him to himself so that he can wipe out South Africa? Do they have something planned already for South Africa? There was a time that some people came out and said they needed freedom. They do not want to have anything to do with the blacks anymore. They want to be a country of their own, like another country created in South Africa, because they do not want to be under the rulership of a black man or a black woman. We saw that here. I brought in the video here. You saw where they were going out rallying around that they want their own country. They want their own freedom. And we all know that that was instigated by forces outside. Lesotho issue came in. it was instigated allegedly by forces outside, forces like Israel. And now we have this issue here where they say, okay, they just turn around. We are not struggling with land, about land with you anymore. We just want our people to come in. What is really the plan that they have in mind? I'm going to leave you with the informations, and you leave your thoughts and opinion there at this section.
I don't know if you've seen the story, Masijo. It's all about, of course, US and South Africa. It's yesterday's on Business Tech. And one of our producers, Kimberly, has just shared this in the group. And I want to read two sentences.
Two sentences.
Part of the story. It's the administration, the US administration. I know it's a different administration, but this is the administration further accused the South African government of fostering policies that undermine equal opportunities and contribute to racially targeted violence against landowners. I don't know where they get that, but I'm reading this, I'm thinking, this is the American administration that's accusing the democratic government of South Africa today of fostering policies that undermine equal opportunities. I'm thinking, what did the US administration do when we, the black majority of South Africa, were oppressed under apartheid?
You know what's funny to me?
Legally oppressed. There was a law that says if you are black, you can't do this.
You can't.
And black South Africans like O.R. Tambo went to Washington asking for help from the administration. They never accused apartheid government of fostering policies that undermined equal opportunities.
For me, what's funny is those two words, equal opportunities. Equal opportunities.
And then here's the second one. According to this order, that's Trump's order, the U.S. Secretary of State and the Secretary of Homeland Security will take steps to admit and resettle Afrikaners under the United States Refugee Admissions Program. Hey, thousands of South Africans ran to America, black South Africans, away from apartheid, which was declared a crime against humanity by the United Nations. But the American administration never offered to admit and resettle oppressed black South Africans under any United States refugee program of any kind, of any sorts. So how are we to interpret the American government's actions today?
Here's how we interpret it. We don't care about black Africans. We only care about white people living in Africa, and we'll open our doors to them when equal opportunity is not given to them. But you look at the scale and how it's tipped. Over 80% of the land in South Africa is owned by 7% of the total population. And you're telling us about equal opportunity. Please, man.
Shame on you, United States of America.
More than 10,000 white farmers have expressed interest in relocating from South Africa to the United States after President Donald Trump signed an executive order granting refugee status to Afrikaner groups in South Africa. On February 7, 2025, Trump signed an executive order freezing aid to South Africa, citing allegations that the South African government is confiscating land and discriminating against the white minority population.
Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make a determination. And until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
His actions are based on the land expropriation bill signed into law by President Cyril Ramaphosa, which allows the state to seize land without compensation. The South African government has pushed back against these claims, stating that the diplomatic tensions stem from misinformation. It clarified that the Expropriation Act is intended to implement land reform in the public interest, address historical inequalities from the apartheid era, and is not a tool for arbitrary confiscation. Neil Diamond, president of the South African Chamber of Commerce in the USA, noted that within just 18 hours of the executive order's announcement, over 10,000 inquiries had been received from South Africans seeking information on refugee status and relocation to the U.S.
At this point, Trump, just say what you gotta say, bro. Just say what you gotta say. You came in office with this pro-mass deportation, deporting all the immigrants, and we got to shut the border down, and it's going to be a merge system, and they got to come over with the merge, and they got to wait in line, and people come over the right way. But then you sign a strategic order for South Africans that lack melanin to come over here because they've been so brutalized, and we just gotta help them, and let's seize funding to Africa, and we know that place to be an apartheid state through Nelson Mandela. The people who suffer from DEI, get this one, we gotta give reparations to. And you said we on a merit-based state system, but you take people who got the credentials, people of color that got the credentials, and move them out the way and put people in that work for Fox News to run the United States military. Is it a merit-based system? What do DEI really mean? Why don't you just say it, bro, and let's get it over. Let's get it going on. Say what you need to say. Some people went over there and took that land historically, and now the people stand up and take their land back, and it's the most brutal event according to history. So you, we gonna go around all the things we put in place for the border and let them in? Why don't you just say what you need to say?
U.S. President Donald Trump's offer to take in white South Africans as refugees fleeing persecution may not spur quite the rush he anticipated. An executive order he signed on Friday provided for resettlement in the U.S. of, quote, Afrikaners in South Africa who are victims of unjust racial discrimination as refugees. Afrikaners are mostly white South African descendants of Dutch and French settlers, some tracing back their roots in the country to the 17th century. But it's not clear they want to flee the place they've called home for hundreds of years.
Why would you want to go? There hasn't been any really bad taking over of land. The people are carrying on like normal. And, what are you going to do over there?
That was the response from Neville van der Merwe, a white 78-year-old pensioner living in Cape Town. And he had this to say about Trump cutting off aid to his country.
We all know how Mr. Trump behaves, so it's not, why should they do that? It is being spiteful.
Trump is pushing back against a law signed last month by President Cyril Ramaphosa, aimed at addressing the country's unequal land ownership. White South Africans make up less than a tenth of the country's population, but a legacy of the racist apartheid government left 3/4 of privately owned land in the hands of the white minority, after 3.5 million black people were forced from their homes. The new law makes it easier for the state to expropriate land for what it says is the public interest.
And we will not be bullied.
Ramaphosa's governing African National Congress, or ANC, has defended the measure and accused Trump of amplifying misinformation propagated by AfriForum, an Afrikaner-led group. And even that group, which lobbied Trump's previous administration on their cause, said it was not taking up his offer.
We have to state categorically, we don't want to move elsewhere.
That's AfriForum CEO Callie Creel speaking on Saturday. Alongside Creel was Philip Buys, who chairs the Solidarity Trade Union, a group that says it represents 600,000 Afrikaner families.
We may disagree with the ANC, but we love the country. As in any community, there are individuals who wish to immigrate, but the repatriation of Afrikaners as refugees is not a solution for us.
President Donald Trump just signed an executive order with two goals. The first, to freeze all financial aid to South Africa. The second, to promote the resettlement of Afrikaners in the United States, to escape the draconian policies of the South African government. The Afrikaners of Orania take note of this development, and we are very thankful, specifically for the urgency with which this was tackled in regards to land expropriation and expropriation of property without compensation. However, our plea can be summarized in 3 words. Help us here. Not necessarily with US tax dollars, but with the recognition of our legitimate pursuit. That is the pursuit of Afrikaner self-determination and an autonomous region. Recognizing us as an ethnic people leads to a conclusion, and that is that the only sustainable option for Afrikaners is an autonomous area. The South African government even signed this as the Afrikaner Accord on Self-Determination in the 1990s, which states that Afrikaner self-determination is a legitimate pursuit. Our highest ambition is not to be resettled or relocated. Our highest ambition is freedom. We ask the White House to recognize this, and we also extend that wish to all other nations. With the grace of God and the help of our friends, this can be made possible. Thank you very much.